It is really good to be back writing my book, not traveling like last week's video. I feel like traveling and writing is a really hard thing to do, and it just feels really nice to be back in this office, which is my honestly like creative haven, and just feeling really good to be back in a workflow and back connected to the book. But this week, I wanted to share probably some of the biggest life news ever of my life so far. And it's something that I've been kind of thinking about for a while now, and something I've always wanted to do with my wife, and something we're really, really excited about. And so it feels pretty crazy to share it with you for the very first time. And you're honestly the first person I'm ever sharing this with outside my own family. And I feel nervous to share it because it's a massive life change, and I don't really know what's on the other side of it. So, maybe I think Nicole's upstairs. She doesn't know I'm recording this right now, so I'm gonna have her break the news. So I'm gonna go grab her real quick, and let's see what happens. Nick,
Yeah.
can you break the news of what we're doing?
Break the news.
What's the big thing we're doing? Okay, well, there's a bunch of moving boxes and a bunch of stuff on the floor. So what's going on in here?
We're moving
To where?
to Europe.
Moving to Europe! This has been, let me flip this around, a lifelong dream of ours. And
Yeah.
I'm an Italian citizen, so I've always wanted to move there. Nicole has always wanted to move to Europe, and we started to think about it just kind of as like an idea, kind of a playful idea. And then I always felt like I was carrying around this guilt of holding us back because I've been the most hesitant. Nicole would have been ready to go like 2 years ago.
Oh, I've been ready.
So
I've been ready.
yeah, I feel like I've been kind of holding us back in that sense, but then had a conversation with a friend that made me realize that we're here to live an epic life and write an epic story, which means living with no regrets.
Yeah.
And this is something we want to do before we have kids, and so that window is getting shorter and shorter. So, fuck it, we're doing it. That's it.
It's happening.
This is gonna change, obviously, a lot about my life. It's gonna change a lot about my creativity, and I'm honestly really excited to do this in the process of writing a book, because I have this like intuitive feeling that this book is meant to be written like on the go in expansive places. And I just feel like traveling and living this message of change, which is what the book is about, is going to make what I write about a lot more visceral and a lot more authentic and genuine, because I'm going to be going through my own major life change while writing a book on change. And I think it's just going to expand the book and make it something far greater than I ever thought it was going to be. So I'm really excited to share more about this move and this change while I write the book and take you along for the journey. So that's the news, and I'm excited to see how it all unfolds. Just sold the piano, freshened up a little bit. Here's Penny chilling, and now, oh, it's warm out here. Now, the goal is to sell all our roof stuff. So we got lounge chairs, a sofa under there. Basically, everything is going besides like personal items. But I think after selling the piano, like actually getting it out of the house made it feel even more real. But before the person came over off of Facebook Marketplace to buy the piano, I had this like gut feeling that for some reason this person was going to either have a connection for us in Europe, be connected to somewhere or some person or someone, they were going to know someone that had like a house for us to stay in. And then they come over and we start chatting, and she was like, oh, like, is it a far move or is it a close move? And I was like, it's pretty far. We're moving to Europe. And I said, we're moving to Spain. And she goes, oh my God, I'm a Spanish teacher. And then we had this beautiful conversation about Spain, learning the language, and it just all felt very like universal. But it was interesting that I was picking up on that before she came over. But it just felt like it was a sign from the universe that we're making the right decision, that we're doing the right thing. And although we don't necessarily need the validation because we're going for it, we're just going to have the courage and face the fear and see what happens. Getting those signs from the universe is always a nice little like check mark, and it makes you feel good. So that was a really cool experience. But one item down, or two items, I sold some chairs the other day. 2 items down. I think we have like, I don't know, 15 or 20 other things we're selling, but it's happening. Just up here on the roof, getting some sun midday. I feel like it's so easy for me to get stuck in my office and then be like, why do I feel so low energy, or why do I feel so blah? And I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't seen the sun yet. So soaking up the sun right now. I have a call with a friend who is finishing up his book, and we're gonna chat about research and what he did to research his topics. And he worked with a team, and so I'm really interested in potentially bringing in a research team to help me with the research of this book. I do enjoy the research part of it, but I'm realizing that I have like spurts of momentum, and then I have like a lull where I'm like, I don't really want to do this research, and then spurts of momentum, and then like a lull. The writing part of it is my favorite part. That's where I feel most fulfilled. But the research stuff is really important. So if I could bring someone in to help me on that and collaborate with them and help like guide them in the type of research I'm looking for, I think that would then give me back a lot of my creative energy to focus on the book, because I'm realizing right now in my current schedule, I'm not finding a lot of time yet to write the sample chapters I want to write. And I want to create more space for that because that stuff matters to me. So I think it's important when you're working on a creative project, or if you're building a business, to bring in people that are better at certain things than you, so you can focus on the things that you actually like to do. So in my case, it's bringing in a research team so I can focus more on the writing. So gonna jam on a call right now with a friend who brought in a team and who is crushing the research side of his project. And I'm excited to see what comes from it. Yo.
There he is. What's up, man? How are you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Dude, good. Sorry, I've
Recording
just
in progress.
Oh, you're
to back calls since 10 in the morning.
there. You go.
But I'd love to hear sort of your sort of journey of it all, because you did the book that you self-published.
Yeah, I self-published. You Deserve This Shit. This one.
Yeah.
I just did Amazon KDP. So my book was like, it was a 7-month delay basically until it got traction after publication. And I just did all that through social marketing on TikTok and Instagram. Was where it kind of caught wind.
And you would just post like a link in your bio type thing to Amazon?
Well, so the nice thing, and bless you, the nice thing about selling a book that's on Amazon is because people at this point know that you go to Amazon to buy a book, you never have to say, buy my book. Ever. All you need to do is show it. People understand, hey, I wrote this book. People understand already, if I want to buy that, I want to go to Amazon. I'm basically doing the research all myself, but I'm realizing that it's like kind of taking me out of like what I actually love to do, which is the written stuff. So I was just curious. I know you had mentioned you worked with a researching company of some sort. Was curious, 1, did you like that? 2, was it worth the investment? 3, do you have a recommendation of someone that you enjoyed working with? But okay, that piece of insight actually helps me a lot in terms of like the timing of when I'd want to bring someone in on that. It seems like I'll probably want to jam on some writing first, and then get some people to come in and fill the gaps of around what research I've already done, essentially.
Yes. 100%. Well, good luck with the move and such. I'm sure we'll chat before then. And
For sure.
Yeah, man. I will chat with you soon. Appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah. Likewise, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, man.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Peace.
Take care. Bye.
All right. So that was good. I think it was good for me to understand that maybe I don't actually need to bring someone in yet to the research. I feel like what the research I'm finding right now is helping me develop more of the concept of the book and more of the outline. And then I'm going to do more of the writing, because I feel like then a research team could help filling in the gaps of the things that I can't find, because I do think there is value in me doing the research first, because I know what message I'm trying to convey. And so I can find the research that supports that message. And then based on what I actually write for a chapter with my research that I found, a research team can come in and be like, hey, I think this right here could use a piece of data that really boosts this up and makes this more powerful and credible. And oh, hey, over here, we can put this in there. And so they can kind of fill in those gaps. So I think right now I want to commit to finding more space to do the writing in terms of like the writing the sample chapters. Because one, I love writing, obviously, and I think it would make me feel fulfilled. And then I think that would also build momentum that I could pour into the research, and I can kind of get in the cycle of like writing, research, instead of being like research for like months, and being like, oh, I just want to write, and then like finally writing, but kind of intertwining them a little bit more. So I'm really happy I had that call. Also, like some things came up with him about potentially helping him with his book. When it comes to marketing it, because I work with different authors and things like that to help them with their social marketing. So a really interesting call, because sometimes you think you're gonna go talk about one thing, and you do talk about the one thing, but then you also talk about something else that is equally as important. And I think that's the beauty of connecting with people, is you never know what's gonna come from it, and that's what makes it fun. So I'm really happy I talked to him and just feel much more at peace with knowing what I need to do next in the process of the research alone. All right, we are going on our last camping trip of summer, and we are going to Orcas Island, and you have to take a ferry there. And we got to the ferry at 2 p.m. and it is basically full until potentially 6:45 or 7. So we've been sitting here for the last, what time is it? We've been here for over 3 hours. So we're waiting in this line right here. And to pass time, we're watching football. We got it all queued up. Sometimes things don't go to plan, but that's just the way it is, so we're gonna make the most of it. After 5.5 hours, we finally made it on the ferry. And although it was much longer than we planned, the view is worth it right now. Check this out. Alright, we finally made it to camp. It is just past 9 o'clock. Haven't ate all day, so
9:30.
9:30. This is what we're having. Nicole will give you the rundown.
We just made Caesar salads. This I feel like is lately our go-to. Shredded chicken, some romaine, some Parmesan cheese, and Caesar.
You're eating Caesar in the bed. Hey, and anything goes at this hour.
Anything goes.
Anything goes at camping, but anything goes at 9 o'clock.
9:30.
We've had road trips where we've eaten cereal for dinner because we don't want to cook. So at least we're getting protein in. This morning I did some journaling, and I usually don't share what's in my journal too often, but I feel called to share what I wrote this morning. Every first day of the month, probably for the last year or two, I've written a letter to myself. And this usually just kind of talks about where I'm at in my journey, so that in the future months and years I can reflect and know exactly what I was going through. So I'm going to share that with you right now. Dear Jordan, today is not September 1st, it's September 6th. You missed the first of the month letter, but you're doing it now while camping at Moran State Park on Orcas Island in Washington State. You're in an incredible part of your journey. You and Nicole are moving to Europe. It's time for an entire new chapter. There is so much expansion already happening and waiting ahead. This change is going to change everything about your life. You are going to step into a new vibration as you go through this change and transformation. You may think that you know what's ahead, but the universe has more than you could ever imagine planned for you. Your job is to keep trusting, keep surrendering, and believe in the divine timing of it all. You will be caught when you leap, but only when you leap with complete trust and no fear. If you believe that you will be caught, you have nothing to fear. Everything is already taken care of. All you need to do is walk forward with courage, one step at a time. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. Focus on where you are and what you're being pulled into. You are stepping into an entire new reality, one that you have no previous experience in. Your job is to let the universe do its job, which is to protect and guide you. If you try to control too much, you'll get in the way of the bigger plan. But if you step back just enough and experience the unfolding of this journey, your journey, you will create the perfect amount of space for magic to flow in and make things happen for you. This is the process of effortless growth and transformation. This is bound to take you into a new realm. Just remember that. When you want to get ahead of yourself, or your Virgo brain wants you to believe that it all needs to make sense or be linear, come back to what you know in your heart as the truth. You are not in control, and everything works itself out. Just experience this incredible part of your journey and be present through it all. You only ever move to Europe just once in your life. Have fun with it. There is nothing to worry about when we are guiding you toward the life you're meant to live. This is the start of something magical. Follow our lead. You know, there's a lot changing in my life right now, and I think it's important during those times to slow down and reflect and think and feel into the things. I think it's so easy to let things happen without realizing they're happening, and then you miss the moment that you wish you could have cherished. And journal entries like this help me sink into that presence and really cherish what I'm going through, whether it be challenging, whether it be the best thing ever. Cherish the fact that I get to experience what I'm going through because it's my journey and it's my experience to enjoy. I don't know what lies ahead, but I do know that if I follow the lead of the universe, it's all going to be good. It's all going to be good. So yeah, I just wanted to share this piece of writing with you. Although it's not from my book, I felt called to share it, and I do writing, outside of the book all the time because I think it's important to work the craft, work the muscle, and write in different ways and different mediums and for different projects. It's just like going to the gym. You don't just work out one muscle to make the body strong. You work out multiple muscles to make the body strong, and that's what I believe with writing too. I don't just write a book to become a better writer, but I do personal writing, I do reflective writing, I do creative writing, I do storytelling, I write books. All of those things make me a stronger writer, not just one. And so I love doing this because it feels like a really good exercise for me to get out of my head and into my heart. All right, we're getting ready for dinner. This is a sight to see right here, everybody. This is a sight to see. Look at this.
What?
Wilderness, beauty, makeup session.
Gotta do what you gotta do, At least I have a mirror.
You gotta do what you gotta do. You heard the woman.
What you making?
Getting ready to go whale watching. I'm making the team some sandwiches. 3.5 hour boat ride. 95% chance.
95%.
See a whale.
I think it's gonna happen.
We're gonna see an orca breaching. For sure.
Calling it.
We are leaving camp, and this is a bittersweet camping trip because it's likely the last trip I'm taking in my van back here. And all sorts of emotions came up this morning. I did a little journal reflection on it, and it's just such a bittersweet moment because it's been such an incredible experience. I've had. I converted this van in 2017. And I quite literally grew up with this thing. You know, I built it when I was 23, I'm 30 now. And at the time, Nicole and I had just been together for 6 months, and now we've been married for a year. So there's been a lot of growth throughout these last 7 years. And so it's not just a van to me, but it's an entire chapter, story of my life. And there's been incredible experiences. I've seen 11 national parks. It's taken me to 7 different states. It's been to Coachella. I've had 10 or more people in it at one time. It has been to a whiteout snowstorm in the middle of Yosemite. Like, this thing has lived quite the life, and I'm grateful that I've been able to experience it, and I'm grateful that I have this thing to take me to these really beautiful places. This won't be my last van, but it will always hold a really special place in my heart because it was my first van that I converted myself. So yeah, it's been an emotional morning for sure, and it's been a bittersweet experience to reflect on kind of everything I've been able to do with it and every place that it's taken me. But I know as I move into this next chapter of my life, you know, moving to Europe, it is calling on me to really let go of things that were part of my last chapter so I can move forward into this next chapter. And although that's painful, because I think there's a lot of grief in moving forward in life of the things that we once loved and still do love, but no longer are part of our next chapter, I'm really happy with where I'm at with the van and my feelings around it, and that we got to have this incredible last summer here in Washington, taking it outside, going to new camping spots, and just experiencing more of life. So, yeah, man, it's been an emotional morning for sure, but I'm grateful that I got this experience, and I'm grateful for the van and every place that it's taken us. I'll quickly show you inside, but it's a bit messy from camping. Maybe I'll do a full little tour of it later this week, but this is kind of what it looks like inside. I built these cabinets, and it has a little pull-out stove right here, and then you got little cabinets underneath. Cabinets in here with shelving. You can't really see, but back there, maybe if I come around, in the back is a dinette. So it's a dining table that turns into a bed. So right now it's folded down into the bed position, but this pops up here to a table, and then these 2 seats are also compartments for different camping gear. We're packed up right now, so it looks a little bit crazy, but that's a quick tour of the build. And I built this thing without any knowledge of how to do any sort of woodworking. I bought my first power tool. I bought a drill. I bought a saw. And I built the entire thing on one cinder block on the floor without a workbench at all. My back still feels that when I think about it. But at the time, I was 23, I was working on a budget, I was doing whatever I could to make this dream become a reality. And when I think back to it, I was talking to Nicole about this yesterday. If I had known the work required to make this thing happen, I wouldn't have done it. But I was so determined to turn that dream into a reality that that determination was far greater than any fear that I had about making this thing happen. And I just went into this thing head down and with the willingness and courage to overcome any obstacle that was thrown at me in the build process. And I'm really grateful that I just went for it, because I got this thing that's taken me around the country for the last 7 years. And I think it's a good reminder that if there's something you really want in your life, if there's a dream you really want to turn into reality, if your determination is greater than the fear, it's going to happen for sure. So focus on determination and forget about fear, and you'll be all good. But with that, I guess that is a wrap on the chapter of the van. We're back from camping. It is, what day is it? It's Tuesday. And I feel like I've just been going through a lot in my personal life. I mean, the move to Europe is one thing that is uprooting basically my entire life, my routine, everything I know about living. And I'm going to be living in an entirely different way. And so that's changing a lot for me. And I'm feeling that both on a personal level and a spiritual level. And there's some other things that I'm going through that I'm letting go of that are just pretty big components of my daily life. And I feel like I've just been kind of all over the place a bit. My life has felt a little bit like a roller coaster. And admittedly, I just haven't found a flow recently with the book. And I feel like I've been kind of doing it and then falling off, then doing it and then falling off, which is okay. And I think it's important to recognize where I'm at in my journey so I can really lean into what I need in the moment. But now that we're back from camping, I'm feeling really good this week. I'm on a good wave, and I'm going to lock in today and write my first sample chapter. I've been kind of thinking about this for a while, and I think it's the next best step for me. So I'm about to lock into my writing session, and we'll see how things go. So I just finished the writing session, and today I was working on a sample chapter for a topic about resistance to change, which is interesting because for the longest time I've known I wanted to write a sample chapter, with this one being the one that I was going to start with. And I had so much resistance about starting this thing, and the thing that I was resisting was writing a chapter about resistance. So I think that was a little test from the universe, but I wrote a little bit of it, and honestly, at the beginning, I was falling into the thoughts of, am I good enough? Can I do this? This is going to suck. I don't think I can do this. And although I wanted to stop and give up within the first 5 or 10 minutes, the more I chipped away and wrote about this topic, the easier it became, and the more I started to believe in myself. And so I think this is a reminder to all of us that we can build our self-belief through taking action. And a lot of the times when we get stuck in our heads, that's when we think we're not good enough. But when we just take action and walk toward a challenge, that's when we prove to ourselves that we are good enough. I'm really grateful that I started working on this writing this morning, because the writing is my favorite part about writing a book. Research is great. It gives me a lot of information, but it's not my main thing, and it's not the thing that excites me the most. So I feel like now that I'm starting to work on a sample chapter, it feels real. It feels like I'm actually doing the writing finally, and I'm really excited to see how this unfolds. And although I had a lot of kind of self-worth things to overcome at the beginning of this session, I'm feeling a lot better about it, and I'm feeling really excited to kind of see what happens in the coming days with this chapter and what it shapes into. I think it's really easy to fear uncertainty and not knowing what lies ahead. But I've been trying to make a perspective shift on that. And instead of being afraid of uncertainty because I don't know what's ahead, finding excitement in the fact that endless possibilities exist. So although I don't know how this chapter is going to end up, I'm excited because it could be anything, and it could be the thing that I love the most in my recent writing. So I'm going to hold on to that belief and kind of see what comes from it. But really, really proud of the fact that I started, because I think sometimes starting is the hardest thing. And if you can just start, you can open up a door that opens up 100 other doors.